Keywords of the novel. Destiny to the Supreme without pop-ups, Destiny to the Supreme Complete Collection download, Destiny to the Supreme latest chapter reading. Some things I want to say. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ladies and gentlemen, Wu Sanqi has some fragmented thoughts to say. Hey, there's no way, the new book period is torturous. Today is the third day of uploading Wu Sanqi's third new book, Fate Supreme, which has more than 35,000 words. Wu Sanqi has been working hard to write and improve, but what makes Wu Sanqi cry and laugh is that the grades of the new book, Fate Supreme, are not very good. On the contrary, the collection and clicks of the two old books, Super Dao Ding and Iron Blood Dan Soul, have greatly increased. What makes Wu Sanqi laugh is that the chapters of the new book have been updated on the pages of the two old books as trial chapters for everyone to read. The results are very good, and what makes Wu Sanqi cry is the new book, Fate Supreme. The high scores were actually affected. The new book, Fate Supreme, has been signed and the contract is under review, so the status has not been changed yet. However, it should be able to be changed next week. Rest assured that the quality of the updates from Wu Sanqi is guaranteed. In addition, I just checked and found that Wu Sanqi uploaded a new book on Thursday. Today is Saturday, and Wu Sanqi's new book has already ranked 44th on the mysterious new book list. Although it is not high, it is also good. However, Wu Sanqi still hopes that you can collect and support it. When you have time, help Wu Sanqi click on it to let more people see this book. This is your support and love for Wu Sanqi. Wu Sanqi will be remembered in your heart, grateful and fulfilling everyone's expectations. Respected Wu Sanqi. Chapter 1, Peeping at Teacher Lanxue's Bathing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hu Mu Yun was panting heavily, sweating profusely. He wore a washed white cotton cultivation robe tightly against his body, and the night wind blew over, making his whole body feel chilly and uncomfortable. It seems that my physical strength is still not good. I'm exhausted in just half an hour. Mu Yun whispered, frowning slightly. The fist technique he practiced is called Bull Fist, which is based on the basic mental technique, Bull training technique. The fist is fierce and powerful, and it is his favorite fist technique to practice in school. Now he has reached 9/10 of the heat, and he is only a stone's throw away from perfection. Unfortunately, his physical strength is only 700 pounds now, and there is still some way to go before he can complete his foundation. He cannot sustain this set of Mantou fist for a long time. Practicing it for an hour is already the limit. If you don't have a grade, you just don't have a grade. If one could practice the Great Power Demon Ape technique like that Wutan, they should also have a complete foundation and more than 2,000 pounds of strength, just like him. TSK. With over 2,000 pounds of strength, if the young master also has over 2,000 pounds of strength, practicing this set of Mantou fist should be able to persist for even longer. Not to mention anything else, sweeping the entire Huangjiao town school should not be a problem. Wutan is still 500 to 600 pounds away from the 3,000 pounds of the Yuan man. 500 to 600 pounds, he still has 2 years left, 2 years. I believe he can achieve the Yuan man. In the entrance examination of the Xiuxian Academy in 2 years, he can be admitted to the Xiuxian Academy in Pingchuan City. And I also have 2 more years left. If I can't reach the great perfection of foundation building and my physical strength reaches 3,000 pounds before I turn 16, then I am destined to have no chance of cultivating immortals in this lifetime. Cultivate immortality. Cultivate immortality. How many dreams of a good boy? Cultivate immortality. Cultivate immortality. How many children's intestines have sorrow broken? Cultivate immortality. Cultivate immortality. Although this poem, The Sacrifice of Immortal Cultivation, is just an inexplicable expression of emotion from an unnamed senior brother at Huangjiao Town School, it is currently the biggest pain engraved in Mu Yun's heart. He now has a strength of 700 pounds, which is still 300 pounds away from the standard of 1,000 pounds for building a foundation. With a family like him, there is no extra money to purchase nourishing food and medicinal herbs. The growth of 300 pounds of strength is somewhat distant for him. The growth of strength is not only about practicing hard, but also requires huge financial support. And his father is just a herb picker, and his mother's health is not good enough to work. How can such a family have extra money? But time waits for no one. Now that he is 14 years old, there are still 2 years left, and he will be 16 years old. Once he reaches the age of 16 and cannot complete the foundation building, his strength will increase by more than 3,000 pounds, and he will not be eligible to participate in the entrance examination of the Immortal Cultivation Academy, nor will he be able to enter the academy without the experience of a cultivation academy. Without the cultivation experience of a cultivation academy, he would not be able to find a good job. He could only live at the bottom of the Ming dynasty and work hard all his life. Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth and jumped up again to start practicing. However, after a while, he had just regained some strength and exhausted it again, sitting on the ground. After a long time, Mu Yun suddenly felt a movement in his heart. What voice? His small courtyard is an extremely ordinary one in Huangjiao Town, somewhat dilapidated, with 2 bedrooms, 1 living room, and then the kitchen and toilet in the corner of the courtyard. He cautiously arrived at the right side of the wall, and the sound came from the other side of the wall. Next door was Teacher Lanxue's house. Could it be that the inexperienced ranger had infiltrated Teacher Lanxue's house? Mu Yun felt anxious for a moment. Teacher Lanxue is the most beautiful woman in their Huangjiao Town School, although she is a bit cold and aloof, sometimes appearing somewhat unfriendly. But there is no denying that she is definitely the goddess and dream lover in the hearts of all male teachers and students. Of course, he is also his dream lover. No way. It's absolutely not enough to let those damn useless rangers harm Teacher Lanxue. Mu Yun gritted his teeth, hesitated for a moment, endured the weakness of his body, and climbed up the wall with difficulty and caution. With a difficult leap, he stood in the garden of Teacher Lanxue's house. The layout of Teacher Lanxue's house is not much different from his, except that the yard is larger. At this time, it is early summer, and a fragrance of flowers hits his face. Without hesitation, Mu Yun quickly squatted down and hid himself in the darkness. Suddenly, Mu Yun's eyes narrowed slightly and his face sank. What a Yuten! Mu Yun looked around and saw 4 figures swaying in the dark corner of Yin. With the help of a faint light coming from the room, he recognized these 4 people. The leader was his fellow apprentice, Yuten, who was at the same level as him and also a neighbor from a few small courtyards away. Although he couldn't see the other 3 people clearly, judging from their physique, he still knew that these 3 were Yuten's close allies. Shaping, Tianlai, and Jinbei. Damn it! They are peeking at Teacher Lanxue taking a shower. The sound of knowing and groaning, flowing water coming from the room, Mu Yun knew what these 4 guys were doing. No way. We can't let them do this. Teacher Lanshue's innocence cannot be buried in the hands of these 4 guys. Mu Yun's eyes were filled with fire, his fists clenched, and he scanned the 4 figures in the corner of the window with hatred. Mu Yun carefully curled up his body and slowly moved towards the 4 of them. After a while, he came behind the 4 of them. At this moment, he hesitated a bit. Did he startle Teacher Lanxue? If alarmed, would Teacher Lanxue think he is also one of the peepers? After pondering for a moment, Mu Yun decided not to disturb Teacher Lanxue. Teacher Lanxue was his dream lover and he couldn't let Teacher Lanxue misunderstand him. Whoosh! Mu Yun lightly stepped under his feet and used the lightness skill, 3 steps entanglement. 3 steps entanglement is a lightness skill taught by Huangjiao Town School, which emphasizes stable body, strong footsteps, and strong skills that require hard practice. It is not considered a high-level lightness skill and belongs to the general category. However, it is the favorite of students like Mu Yun who do not have enough Mingyuan to purchase high-level lightness skills. After nearly 8 years of hard practice, Mu Yun has mastered this lightness skill to the point of perfection. With a gentle step, his speed increases rapidly. Bang! Suddenly, his feet slipped and he flew straight out, smashing the window of teacher Lanxue's house and entering her bedroom. Hurry up! At the moment he bumped into it, he heard Yuten's deep cheers and his heart was filled with anger. Just as he was stunned, he suddenly saw a cold and beautiful woman with a cold frown, her eyes filled with disgust. He wanted to explain something, but couldn't speak. His eyes saw 2 plump peaks dripping with water droplets, flowing down the ravines between the snow-white and straight peaks. So big. So white. Mu Yun said in a daze. Deng tu Langzi. Suddenly, the cold and beautiful woman's eyes became even more disgusted, and she spewed out anger. She slapped her feet horizontally and struck with a palm. Boom! Mu Yun only felt a tremendous force rushing towards him, and the wooden window blocking him instantly turned into fragments. At this moment, these wooden fragments became terrifying weapons, and he had no time to dodge. He could only protect his face with both hands and roll off, but was still swept by the wooden fragments, causing blood to flow profusely. Ah! He let out a deep scream, feeling dizzy and disoriented. Humph! At such a young age, I didn't learn well and even stole a peek at me taking a shower. What a pervert! A cold voice came from the room. Mu Yun only heard this sentence and felt wronged, but his head hurt, his consciousness blurred, and he passed out. Ha! Is it him? A soft moan came from the room, but Mu Yun couldn't hear it. What is this place? Mu Yun looked around with a headache. The space was not large, but it was the same size as his bedroom. It was not a brick and stone wall, but a material shimmering with a faint luster like jade. The jade wall was shrouded in a faint aura, filled with a sense of mystery. Under his feet, the mysterious airflow was steaming and attached to him, making him feel a comfortable and enjoyable sensation. This feeling is so familiar. Mu Yun was suddenly surprised. Although he doesn't often experience this feeling, he has experienced it 10 or 8 times, each time when he is exhausted from his practice and unconscious, he will have this feeling. He only vaguely remembers that there is such a thing, but he has never directly entered this space like this time. What exactly is this place? Mu Yun thought to himself, but there was no result. Does it mean that the young master can come here after he falls into a coma? Mu Yun hugged his head and tried to recall what had happened. After a long time, he could only give up, and everything that happened before him was not something he could explain clearly. Damn Wutan, it made teacher Lanxue misunderstand that the young master is a SE ruffian. Damn. In retrospect, at the last moment of his coma, teacher Lanxue's cold scolding made him feel a pain in his heart. He wished he could immediately explain to teacher Lanxue that he was not a SE ruffian, the real SE ruffian was Wutan, Sai. I'm afraid that if I say this, teacher Lanxue will hate me even more. She will definitely treat me as a troublemaker who dares not admit his mistakes. Thinking of this, Mu Yun became even more resentful and disgusted towards Wutan. Ha! What is this? Suddenly, Mu Yun saw a small grass-like plant growing in the room. He was not sure if it was actually a plant, but just looking at it, he felt a breath of life and couldn't help but believe that it was just a small grass. But why is it not green SE, but this kind of white SE? As mentioned in herbal medicine, only some extremely precious medicinal herbs will present white SE. Is this a precious herb? Mu Yun was startled, followed by ecstasy, but soon he realized something was wrong, his whole body was cold, and a cold breath surged in his heart. This space should be inside my body, where a precious herb has grown. How could this be? Mu Yun's face was pale and at a loss. After a long time, his emotions finally calmed down. He looked at the small grass of rubies, gritted his silver teeth, and grabbed it with both hands. We absolutely cannot let you grow, otherwise, where can I survive? Scream, however, just as he was about to touch the herb with his hands, the herb suddenly shone brightly, shining with various colors such as red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, etc., making the space hazy and intoxicating. What is that? Mu Yun was shrouded in radiance, realizing that these radiances were recognizable words one by one. Just when he was at a loss, these radiances disappeared into his body. The radiance disappeared, and the white grass grew quietly, emitting vitality. Mu Yun sat cross-legged, carefully reading these words. Time passed by minute, and after an unknown amount of time, Mu Yun woke up and turned around, frowning and pondering, is this a secret technique? It's related to Qi luck. After savoring all the words carefully and chewing them several times, he was certain that this was a secret technique that could be cultivated into divine powers. Divine ability, a special ability that is different from the ability displayed after practicing techniques such as boxing and swordsmanship, but has a special ability in a certain aspect that ordinary people have never possessed. When Mu Yun was studying in Huangjiao Town Mansion, the miscellaneous teacher would explain some mysterious and unpredictable supernatural abilities, such as the ability to see the yin pupils of spiritual objects, the ability to generate water and fire by reciting certain special spells, etc., all of which belong to this category. Generally, supernatural abilities are inherited from birth, which means that one is born with this ability. However, there is still a portion of divine powers that can be obtained by practicing some precious secret techniques. As the miscellaneous school teacher once said, one of his clan brothers once obtained a secret technique, which can elevate his body like an ancient giant, greatly increase his strength, and gain the family's favor. These were all things he learned at Huangjiao Town School, so when he saw these words, he had a feeling that it was a secret method that could cultivate divine powers. The secret technique. I didn't expect Mu Yun to also get a secret technique. Mu Yun's heart was filled with ecstasy. I don't know if I can cultivate a divine ability. Mu Yun felt nervous for a moment, but after a while, he forgot about these concerns. Can he repair it or not? Practice first before proceeding. After all, his current cultivation methods and techniques are not of high quality, and he is still unable to build a solid foundation. With this secret technique, he naturally needs to practice it. Even if he cannot cultivate divine powers, he can still gain insight. Moreover, he had a feeling that he could definitely cultivate a divine ability. This feeling is very wonderful. Although men's intuition is unreliable, perhaps the boy's intuition should be more reliable. Mu Yun comforted himself. Sitting cross-legged again, Mu Yun began practicing secret techniques. Ladies and gentlemen, the new book of Wu 33744 has been uploaded, which is the beginning of another battle. Brothers and sisters who like the style of Wu 33744 should give more support. Wu 33744 wishes you good health, good luck and success. Chapter 2. Big and White Mantou. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After an unknown amount of time, Mu Yun suddenly opened his eyes and a hint of joy bloomed on his face. Completed. He didn't expect this secret method to be so easy to practice. He almost followed the requirements of the secret method step by step, and after each turn, a mysterious feeling lingered in his heart. Okay. Then let's test the effect. Mu Yun doesn't know the name of this secret technique, but he knows that this divine power is an auxiliary type of divine power, which seems to be related to Qi luck. Open. With a low and loud shout, Mu Yun activated his divine power. For a moment, a mysterious aura enveloped his eyes, and he looked around. Why is there nothing? Observing the surroundings, Mu Yun furrowed his brows and remained unchanged. Is it wrong? Mu Yun continued to observe, and finally, he noticed something different. A halo appeared around the small grass located on the ground in the space, surrounded by the mysterious airflow. These halos appeared hazy and couldn't be seen clearly. He widened his eyes to see more clearly, but felt dizzy and quickly moved away. Without any magical powers, the mysterious aura dissipated from his eyes, and he observed the grass. The halo disappeared, and the grass remained as usual. It seems that I have really achieved it. After experimenting several times, he found that as long as he activated the secret method, the grass would change and there was a hazy halo around it, but for some reason he couldn't see it clearly. Taking a closer look at his head was like it was about to explode. What kind of supernatural ability is this? It seems like he hasn't shown any powerful abilities. Mu Yun's eyes rolled around, thinking to himself. The divine power he obtained from this secret technique does not seem to have improved his strength. Perhaps the ability to develop this divine power has not yet been developed. He can only comfort himself in this way. After resting for a long time, his mind is clear, and a new problem has arisen. How can he get out? He had never encountered this situation before, and it was a coincidence that he was able to enter this space. So far, he has not figured out how to get in, let alone go out. But just as he was thinking about this question, he suddenly felt a whirlwind, and then he felt his consciousness coming out of a mysterious space. Urgently opening his eyes, he suddenly shouted, "Where is this?" Perhaps his voice was too loud, a cold voice came from outside the house, "This is my house." Mu Yun's face suddenly changed. This was the voice of Teacher Lanxue, and his face couldn't help but turn red. Teacher Lanxue misunderstood that he was a libertine and a thug squeak. The bedroom door opened and a petite and delicate beauty walked in. She had icy skin, rosy lips, and white teeth, which captivated the soul. However, at this moment, her face was somewhat unfriendly, as cold as snow, especially her beautiful eyes filled with indifference. Teacher Lanxue. Mu Yun awkwardly glanced at the beautiful woman. "Humph. Since you're awake, you must give me an explanation." The beautiful woman looked coldly at Mu Yun, her eyes even more indifferent. Teacher Lanxue was still angry, and Mu Yun suddenly felt a surge of dizziness. Should he explain clearly or not? But did he explain clearly? Mu Yun felt a wave of depression in his heart, and even cursed the 18 generations of Wutan ancestor repeatedly in just a moment. He had a plan. Since Teacher Lanxue has already misunderstood him, thinking that he is a SE embryo and a Deng Tu prodigal, he has gradually come into contact with him more in the future, and Teacher Lanxue naturally understands his character. But if he implicates Yuten without evidence, can Teacher Lanxue believe him? I may feel even more disgusted towards him. This doesn't work. Let Teacher Lanxue think that he is a SE rascal and a libertine. Teacher Lanxue, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. He lowered his head in shame as he spoke. Just as he was waiting for Teacher Lanxue to get angry, the bedroom fell silent. He secretly glanced at Teacher Lanxue and saw her staring at him expressionlessly, his heart trembling. Teacher Lanxue, I really didn't mean to. Teacher Lanxue still didn't speak up. Teacher Lanxue. Puff. In his heart, he was extremely anxious. As he moved, he fell off the bed and rolled to the ground. I don't know if it was a coincidence or if God was playing with him. He happened to roll to the feet of Teacher Lanxue, looking up with a pale face. Suddenly, he realized something was wrong. What did he see? Today, Teacher Lanxue is wearing a purple SE spiral short skirt. He sees a pair of beautiful legs and looks up along them. At the base of the beautiful legs, he sees a cluster of white SE. It seems that there is a small cluster of black threads around the white SE black silk. Suddenly, he understood what it was in his heart racing and his face turning red. In just a moment, his face turned pale, as if he had realized something. Bang. With a movement of Teacher Lanxue's beautiful leg, he flew up and landed heavily on the bed. Ouch. My whole body was in pain like a crack, and I secretly glanced at Teacher Lanxue. I smiled bitterly in my heart, and Teacher Lanxue became angry again. "Esse rascal." Teacher Lanshue's face turned red and she gritted her teeth, drinking word by word. Muyun opened his mouth to explain something, but ultimately did not say it. Actions speak louder than words. Just now, his behavior was indeed a bit erratic. He even saw the little inside of Teacher Lanxue. Isn't this making him uncomfortable? Do you want to die on your own? Teacher Lanxue. He let out a weak cry as he saw her walking out. In no time, he felt his head sink and drowsiness hit. Damn kid. Outside the bedroom, Lanshue's face turned red and her heart pounded wildly. That little guy just saw her, damn it. However, she felt a surge in her heart, a feeling she had never used before surging into her heart. I don't know how long it took before he slowly woke up. Ouch, it hurts so much. As soon as I moved my body, I felt as if it was about to crack open, affecting the wound. After a while, he finally regained his senses. I was misunderstood by Teacher Lanxue again. Mu Yun sighed inwardly. Being misunderstood by the goddess in my heart is truly painful. Ha! Mirror. Mu Yun suddenly caught a glimpse of the Zhao Yi realm in the corner and thought of his divine powers, wanting to see his own luck. He struggled to get up, but the intense pain from the wound made his face appear twisted. He came to the mirror and activated his powers. Suddenly, he felt a slight change in the image in the mirror. Above his head, a square meter range of white se air appeared, flowing slowly and somewhat scattered. Is this my luck? Mu Yun looked in surprise. After a while, his brow furrowed because he noticed that the clear energy above his head was slowly flowing away, although the amplitude was very slight, he still observed it. Is this related to the injuries on my body? After a long time, he muttered thoughtfully. Oh my! Suddenly, his head hurt and a wave of fatigue hit him, just like the pain he had experienced when observing the grass in the mysterious space. It seems that this divine power cannot be used for a long time, and it has a significant burden on the body and Jing God. Returning to bed to rest for an hour, a refreshing fragrance awakened him. Gulu. Gulu, I'm so hungry. Gently touching his belly, he felt extremely hungry and weak. Especially attracted by the fragrance emanating from outside the house, my stomach started to scream uncontrollably. I wanted to call out to Teacher Lanxue a few times, but in the end, I didn't speak up. Teacher Lanxue may still be angry and will still make food for him. Alas, poor child. Mu Yun let out a bitter smile, enduring the excruciating pain with difficulty, and got up to walk slowly outside the house. As he left the bedroom, the first thing he saw was the living room, which was neither too big nor too small. The items in the living room were neatly arranged and decorated with various flowers, full of fragrance. However, at this moment, he had no time to appreciate these beautiful views. His eyes were fixed on the wooden table in the corner of the living room. His eyes turned slightly red, and at this moment, he truly felt what a hungry wolf was. Squeak. The door to the living room opened, and a beautiful and elegant woman carrying a strong chill walked in. Lan. Teacher Lanxue. Mu Yun called out. Humph. Lanxue teacher gave a cold grunt and put the big white mantou in her hand on the table. With a bang, the big white mantou jumped. His mind trembled, and Teacher Lanxue was still angry. Just as he didn't know what to say to ease the atmosphere, he heard a cold voice, if you want to eat, don't just stand there. Mu Yun's eyes lit up and he rushed over without hesitation, grabbing the two big white men and burying his head before delivering them to his mouth. The big white mantou is really soft. It's a bit hot. However, it was very comfortable to hold it in his hand. Before putting it in his mouth, he felt a smell of mantou coming to his face, and his eyes became more and more bloodshot. So soft. So hot. After whispering, Mu Yun put Mantou into his mouth, and suddenly a sweet smell burst out in his mouth. But before he could enjoy a moment, his face turned pale with a pair of eyes that were as sharp as blades. Lanxue. Teacher Lanxue, are you? What did you say earlier? I didn't say anything. Can you say it again? Teacher Lanxue stared at Mu Yun with a rather unkind expression. Seeing Mr. Lanshue's unwavering determination, he thought for a moment and said, I just said it was so soft. So hot. Bang. As soon as he finished speaking, he felt a pair of snow-white legs turning into a white light before his eyes. Then his body flew out horizontally, and a sweet and fishy smell filled his mouth. Essie rascal. Watching Teacher Lanshue's face covered in frost, he realized that what he had just said had caused a misunderstanding for her. Damn it. I cried out in my heart, but my eyes could not help looking at Lanshue's chest and thinking. It seems that the big white Mantou is not as powerful as Lanshue's big killers. You. Teacher Lanshue's face turned pale with anger, and her eyes were filled with flames. Mu Yun's heart trembled, knowing that he had misunderstood Teacher Lanxue again. I was extremely depressed for a moment. As soon as I became nervous, I couldn't help but activate my powers. How terrifying. Mu Yun's face suddenly turned incredibly pale, and the eyes staring at Teacher Lanxue were filled with strong terror. What is that? What? Teacher Lanshue's face turned cold. Mu Yun stared blankly at the top of Teacher Lanshue's head. At this moment, there was a yellow and clear air floating above her head, slowly flowing in a pointed tower shape. But what frightened him was the countless ferocious and terrifying beasts around the yellow sea tower, which spread their teeth and claws, emitting a fierce aura if it were ready to pounce at any time. Ah! Suddenly, he screamed and saw a fierce and cruel beast the size of a thumb rushing towards him, landing on his head. He suddenly felt a wave of discomfort in his body and couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. The ferocious beast on top of Teacher Lanshue's head, with its teeth and claws flapping, must have devoured his luck, making him feel uncomfortable. Teacher Lanxue frowned and said, "What's wrong with you? It seems you haven't rested yet. You can sleep a little longer." After speaking, Teacher Lanxue frowned and walked out. After a while, his face finally looked better. What is that thing? Why do those terrifying things appear on Teacher Lanshue's head? It looks like a resentful spirit condensed with evil energy. Mu Yun couldn't figure it out. After pondering for a long time, Mu Yun's eyes suddenly lit up and he said, "It's a bit like those fortune tellers talking about the heavenly Shaolong star. Is that thing really a sign of the heavenly Shaolong star?" Mu Yun fell into deep thought. New book upload requires everyone's support, including red tickets, bookmarks, and clicks. Chapter 3, The Great Magic Monkey Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After eating the big white Mantou, a plate of cut meat and a plate of pickles on the wooden table, I feel more comfortable. Teacher Lanxue really has a hard life. Mu Yun let out a long sigh, his heart filled with a sense of pity. The more he recalled what he had just seen, the more he felt that the evil beast above Teacher Lanshue's head was a sign of the celestial ghost and solitary star mentioned by the fortune teller. In a word, Lanxue is also a miserable person. Although she is not from Huangjiao town, it is said in the town that Lanshue's life is hard. She killed her mother when she was born. Then her father, brothers and sisters also died in succession, which makes everyone think that she is an unlucky person. It is said that once a fortune-telling master who was extremely lucky in Pingchuan City accidentally met Teacher Lanxue, and his face changed greatly. His mouth burst out and he said, "Heavenly Shaolong star." Then the fortune-teller turned his head and left, looking as if he was fleeing in embarrassment. Later, the renowned fortune-teller in the Pingchuan City area never set foot in Pingchuan City again. Later on, it was widely circulated that Teacher Lanxue was born with a celestial demon and a lone star, specializing in restraining her family. Anyone who was close to her would definitely not have a good ending. These are all rumors, but the residents of Huangjiao town hold a mentality of believing in what they have and not believing what they have, and do not have much contact with teacher Lanxue. It seems that teacher Lanxue has no intention of contacting other residents. This has also made teacher Lanxue a special presence in Huangjiao town for the past 3 years. However, at this moment, Mu Yun felt the difference in teacher Lanxue, and truly felt the difference. Teacher Lanxue is really a lonely star in the sky. Suddenly, his eyes widened wide. Why did he see the unusual appearance of teacher Lanxue? Is this the ability of divine powers? Mu Yun's heart was shaken. Yuner, what's wrong with you? How did you look like this? Does it still hurt? Just as he was lost in deep thought, a slightly chubby, pale-faced, sickly-looking housewife with a weathered face, tears flashing in her eyes, rushed in and tightly grasped Mu Yun's right hand. Mu Yun was startled and lost his voice, saying, "Mom. You. What? I'm fine. Are you saying it's okay? Look at what it looks like. Your father and I have only been away for a few days, why are you like this?" The middle-aged woman's face was full of heartache, her eyes slightly red, and crystal-clear tears slid down. "What's going on?" A soft shout sounded in the living room, and Mu Yun finally saw his father behind his mother. This. That. After pondering for a while, Mu Yun didn't even say why. He couldn't tell his parents that he was lurking late at night to worry about teacher Lanxue. How could he do it? In that case, his mother won't let him go, not to mention how his father became angry. Not learning well at a young age, sneaking a peek at the teacher taking a shower, and even framing Mu Yun took a deep breath, and the slightly elderly middle-aged woman in front of him was his mother, Lu Xieying, an ordinary woman from the Ming dynasty. "Tell me, what's going on?" Faced with a tall but somewhat emaciated father with a slightly hunched back, frosted temples, and eyes full of vicissitudes, Mu Yun hesitated for a moment and briefly explained the situation. Of course, he did not mention Wutan and others, but only said that upon hearing the commotion, he was afraid that some inexperienced rangers would be detrimental to teacher Lanxue, which led to what happened afterwards. To the extent that he was mistakenly injured by teacher Lanxue. Really? Mother's eyes widened with a hint of anger. Looking at teacher Lanxue who walked in, Mu Yun sighed and nodded. "Hey. You have to say something, my son is like this. What are you still doing there?" Lu Xieying couldn't help but scold her husband who was standing beside her without saying a word. "Mom, don't say that to Dad, I'm really okay." Mu Yun comforted. Mu Ling nodded and said, "You did the right thing. Teacher Lanxue, Yuner is a bit reckless. I hope you don't take it for granted." Mu Ling looked apologetically at teacher Lanxue as he walked in. Lanxue shook her head and said, "It's my fault. Teacher Lanxue, we can't do this in the future. Anyway, it's not good to hit too hard." Lu Xieying's face was a bit unsightly. "After listening to my son's narration, I learned that it was teacher Lanxue who made him look like this. As a mother, can you give teacher Lanxue a good face?" Mu Ling frowned and said, "All right, since Yuner is fine now, let's take him back and not cause any more trouble for teacher Lanxue." When his father said this, Mu Yun felt a sense of disappointment, as if he was about to lose teacher Lanxue. But he had to leave, after all, he and teacher Lanxue had nothing but a teacher-student relationship, and it was not suitable to live here. Returning home, with the help of his parents, he lay in his own bed and comforted his crying mother a few words, which finally made Mu Yun breathe a sigh of relief. "Mom and Dad, do you have anything else to do?" Mu Yun asked, enduring the excruciating pain in his body, seeing that his parents had no intention of leaving. Mother hesitated as she stared at her father, who frowned as if lost in thought. However, Mu Yun couldn't help but shout, "Mom and Dad, just say whatever you have. Why are you stuttering like this? Here you are, what, you can open it and see. Without any extra words, the father took out something wrapped in brand new floral cloth from his arms and threw it over. Mother looked at her father and sighed with a slightly gloomy expression, saying, Yunner, this is the best thing my parents can give you. You. Forget it. Mu Yun stared blankly at his mother, who was sighing and groaning. It was a long time before he woke up and his heart was sore. His parents had given him too many things. What is this? Carefully opening the floral cloth, a palm-sized, square green jade appeared, and Mu Yun's face couldn't help but change. Yujin. This is a jade slip. After studying at Huangjiao Town Mansion for nearly 8 years, although his cultivation did not improve quickly, his eyesight was not weak. He had never used jade slips, but had seen them before. The green jade in his hand at this moment is a jade slip. The jade slip is a carrier of vast information, which was introduced by the school teacher. What information is contained in this jade slip? He suddenly felt a sense as he looked at his father with a serious expression and his mother with a kind face. Really, is this really the great demon ape technique? Mu Yun stared tightly at the jade slip the size of a palm in his hand, his eyes shining. The great magic ape technique. Surprisingly, it is the great magic ape technique. This is his dream mind technique. This is the mental technique for entering the product. There are 3 levels of martial arts, the 3rd level of heaven, earth, and mystery. Each level is divided from 1 star to 9 stars, and the higher the level of martial arts, the more expensive it is. Some martial arts are even beyond the reach of Mingyuan. The Great Demon Ape Technique is a 1-star mystical mental technique that requires at least 10,000 Mingyuan to purchase upon reaching the level. Mingyuan was a strong currency of the Ming dynasty. Why can Yuden be so arrogant? It was precisely because of the wealthy family background of Wutan that he practiced the Great Power Magic Monkey Technique from a young age, and his physical strength greatly increased. At the age of 13, he reached the state of building a perfect foundation. And because he practices the unremarkable mind technique of the bull riding technique, his body only has a pitiful 700 pounds of strength. The difference is so great. This is the difference between the mindset of entering the product and not entering the product. How many times? He dreams of practicing the Great Demon Ape Technique himself, and then his strength will greatly increase, reaching the perfect foundation. He will engage in a fierce battle with Yutenhausen, unleashing the evil energy of these years. But he knows the situation at home. Suddenly, he was surprised and said, Parents. Parents, you. How could you have so many Mingyuan? Mu Yun's face became very ugly. Although he was not very old, the children from poor families had already become the head of the family. He knew about his own situation and was far from reaching the level of wealth that could afford the powerful mental skills of the Great Demon Ape Technique. The jade slip in his hand, the size of a palm, may seem like such a small piece, but it is priceless and requires at least 10,000 Mingyuan. Mingyuan is the currency of the Ming dynasty, and 1 Mingyuan can make their family live a prosperous month. 10,000 Mingyuan. He couldn't imagine how so many Mingyuan could suddenly be added to his family. Father Mu Ling is an ordinary herb picker of a major force under the Ming dynasty, Tianxian. Tianxian is a major cultivation sect, and their family makes a living under the seat of the cultivation sect. Their parents are both peripheral children, and their mother is physically ill and unable to do heavy physical labor, so their family relies on their father for their livelihood. My father was picking herbs on the eastern mountain outside the nearby psychedelic mountain range, and then took them to the town's purchasing pharmacy to exchange for Mingyuan. In a month, he only had 10 Mingyuan, and when the weather was bad, he didn't even have a Mingyuan. The child at home can be said to be living a simple life. Now that his parents suddenly come up with a mind technique of 10,000 Mingyuan, how can this not surprise him? To practice with peace of mind means that although your parents don't want you to become a fairy or a god, they hope that you can successfully build a foundation and enter the cultivation academy in Pingchuan City before the age of 16. In the future, you can also find a stable job without living in such hardship as your parents. Although Mu Ling's face was full of vicissitudes, at this moment, his eyes showed a pressing aura. Mu Yun's nose is sore, his eyes are astringent, and tears are swirling in his eyes. Yuner, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Even if you can't get into the Cultivation Academy in Pingchuan City, it's okay. We can find another way out. Mother Lu Xieying glared angrily at her husband, blaming him for putting so much pressure on her son. Father Mu Ling sighed and said, "Take it easy." After speaking, Mu Ling turned around and left. Mother Lu Xieying sat down and comforted Mu Yun for a while before leaving. In the bedroom, it quickly became pitch black, lying quietly on the bed, but Mu Yun's heart couldn't be quiet. In this life, his parents have done too much for him. Too much. Although he didn't know how his parents got this 10,000 yuan, he vaguely understood how they got it from their rapid aging over the years. No way. I absolutely need to be admitted to the Cultivation Academy in Pingchuan City. Only in this way can I, Mu Yun, stand out and find a good job to support my parents. Enduring the excruciating pain, he flipped over and sat up, lit an oil lamp, and reached for the jade slip that his parents had exchanged for with their lives. With a sudden force from his right hand, the slip cracked and a mysterious light emerged. Suck. With a strong suction, the light was sucked into his mouth, and soon a set of mental techniques with images and words came to mind. Mu Yun adjusted his sitting posture according to this set of images and adjusted his breathing according to the text instructions. He began his practice. Mu Yun, come on. Don't let your parents down. In the bedroom on the other side of the courtyard, Mu Ling and Lu Xieying watched their son's changes and smiled knowingly. Ling Gu, don't say anything about the Immortal Cultivation Academy in front of Yun Er in the future. This child is very sensible, and he already understands what you said. Can he bear it if you push him so hard? Lu Xieying pinched her husband's shoulders on his side. He had been hunched over for years, and his back was already a bit hunched. Sometimes, he would feel pain from time to time on rainy days, which tormented him and made him unable to sleep all night. The next day, he still had to go up the mountain to pick medicine. So over the years, she has also developed a habit of massaging her husband before he goes to bed every day. Don't I know what you're saying? It's just that Yuner is already 14 years old, and there are still nearly 2 years left until he turns 16. If we don't urge him a bit, he may still not be able to build a successful foundation by the age of 16. At that time, which Immortal Cultivation Academy will want him? Mu Ling shook his head. Don't he feel sorry for his son? But he also has no choice. This is a society of cultivating immortals, a world that values personal strength. Without cultivating immortals and possessing strong abilities, one is destined to become a lower-class person, working hard, and not necessarily living a good life. Alright, Ling Gu, I'll talk to Yuner when I have the chance, so don't speak up. Lu Xieying also knew her husband's thoughts and sighed. By the way, find a chance to tell Yuner not to mess with Lanxue in the future. Mu Ling suddenly said. Lu Xieying nodded slightly and said, but then again, Lanxue is also quite guilty. Her parents passed away early, and her only brother also died tragically. Sigh. Yeah. The fate of the Tian Sha Lone Star is not a joke. Even the immortals in Pingchuan City say that this girl's fate is hard and she can harm her family. Yuner cannot provoke her, Mu Ling said solemnly. Don't worry. I know how to do it, Lu Xieying nodded and agreed, serving her husband and lying down. Brothers and sisters, the new book upload really needs your support. You can click to collect it, and the update and quality of Wu 374 are guaranteed. Chapter 4, Wishing Your Son to Become a Dragon. Fourth update. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Moonlight blooms, reflecting through the window in the room. Mu Yun stood upright, his eyes slightly narrowed, and his mind recalled the cultivation method of the Great Power Demon Ape technique. He took a deep breath and suddenly moved, dancing in the room. However, after a while, his face turned pale, and beads of sweat as big as beans fell from his forehead, flying out as he moved. The injury is not yet healed, and every movement of the body is accompanied by intense pain. However, he doesn't care. I really don't care. In the past, without the Great Power Demon Ape technique, he was willing to work hard and practice like he was risking his life. Although his strength did not increase much and he could not succeed in building a foundation, he still persevered and practiced hard. Now, with the Great Power Demon Ape technique as an imported mental technique, he can still not practice hard. If he doesn't practice well, even he looks down on himself. After all, he really doesn't have much time. He has less than 2 years left. He must build a foundation that is perfect and successful before he reaches the age of 16. Otherwise, he is not qualified to be admitted to the Cultivation Academy in Pingchuan City, which means he cannot continue to cultivate immortality. In the Ming Dynasty, the inability to cultivate immortality meant that one could not stand out and could only live the lives of ordinary lower-class people. This is not what he wants. Half an hour later, his movements noticeably slowed down, his face pale as paper, and his body trembling slightly, reaching its limit. No way. We have to break through this limit. Muyun has a considerable amount of experience in cultivation. He knows that he is approaching his own limits, and at this time, he must not give up. He must persist in his practice and surpass this limit. Once he exceeds this limit, his physical strength will increase. Half an hour later, suddenly he let out a mournful howl, his face turning from white to red, his face rosy like blood, and his eyes showing a hint of red. Breakthrough. This limit has been exceeded. Feeling the relaxed feeling emanating from his body, he knew he had broken through this limit and his strength had increased. I took a few deep breaths and finished. After breaking through the limit, what is needed is rest. If one continues to practice at this time, it will cause severe damage to the body. His family conditions were average, and he did not have any rare ingredients or medication to assist him. His usual practice was constantly pushing his limits, and this method was extremely brutal and full of danger. He also solemnly consulted the teachers and senior students of the school to gain this experience. This is his spiritual experience. In the next few days, apart from eating and necessary rest, he immersed himself in the practice of the Great Demon Ape technique, tirelessly making rapid progress. After practicing the bull fist for a while, he clearly felt that he had made significant progress, and the time spent practicing this boxing technique increased by an hour. An hour. Mu Yun is quite satisfied with this, which is twice as much as he was a few days ago. Now my familiarity with bull fist has definitely reached a perfect level, and the significant increase in strength can also increase my proficiency in this technique. This is an unexpected joy. I don't know how much strength I have reached now. Do I have 1,000 pounds? If I reach 1,000 pounds, then I will be considered a great foundation builder and one step closer to achieving great success. Mu Yinsi said. Yun'er, stop practicing and come and eat. The mother's call came, and Mu Yun agreed, washed his hair, and had dinner. Yun'er, your half-month vacation is over and you're going to school tomorrow. Don't practice today, rest early. Mother Lu Xieying entrusted him with heartache. These days, Mu Yun's efforts were seen in her eyes. Despite her son's hard work, she still felt very sorry for him. After all, his injury was not yet fully healed, which made her worry deeply. Well, listen to your mother, Father Muling said expressionlessly, but deep in his eyes, he was also filled with worry. Don't worry, parents. I'm in good health, and I feel like my strength has increased a lot in the past few days, maybe even reaching 1,000 pounds. Let's have a test tomorrow, said Father Muling calmly, but it's hard to hide his joy in his heart. After dinner and chatting with his parents for a while, he had a sudden idea and thought of the divine power he had learned in the mysterious space. He had been immersed in practicing the great power demon ape technique for the past few days and had not yet taken the time to become familiar with this divine power. With a movement in his heart, his supernatural powers were aroused. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he first looked at his father Mu Ling. Suddenly, his mind shook. On top of his father Mu Ling's head, there is a cloud of white clear air that constantly flows and changes. It is somewhat similar to the clear energy covered by his heavenly spirit. Is my father's fortune not much different from mine? After careful comparison, Mu Yun came to the conclusion. After observing his mother, he found that the clear energy on her head was much less than theirs, and it showed a trend of laxity, which made him feel uneasy. This symptom was a sign of physical illness. And as these clear air drifted away, he felt his mother's body becoming increasingly weak. Can Qi luck really reflect a person's physical condition? The dissipation of Qi luck means that the mother's health is very poor. If Qi luck disappears, then it must be a dead person. This made him feel a sense of panic, as he had a premonition that the disappearance of that clear energy would be detrimental to his mother. Why is teacher Lanxue's luck showing yellow again? Is there also a tower-shaped shape? After pondering for a long time, he couldn't figure it out, but he wasn't in a hurry either. As a top student in the theoretical field of Huangjiao Town School, he still had this confidence as long as he observed more people's luck. Quickly, he shifted his attention back to his mother and stared closely at her, asking, "Mom, are you feeling unwell?" Upon hearing this, Mu Ling's face suddenly changed. "Mom, are you talking?" Mu Yun gritted his teeth. He had a guess in his heart, which twisted his heart like a knife. Lu Xieying glared angrily at Mu Yun and said, "Mom's health has always been poor, and you don't know that discomfort is also a common occurrence." But Mu Ling was stopped by Lu Xieying's gaze as soon as he said something. Mu Yun's heart trembled as he looked at his mother and then at his father. He shouted in a low voice, "Mom and Dad, did you sell blood just to buy the great demon ape technique? There is none." "What are you saying?" Although neither the father nor the mother admitted it, he still noticed their abnormality and his heart trembled. Selling blood. For families like them, this is a common occurrence. Not only in Pingchuan City, but also in Huangjiao Town, there are places dedicated to purchasing human blood. These institutions integrate the collected blood and sell it to cultivators who need human blood for cultivation. There are many ways for cultivators to practice, and absorbing the vitality contained in blood is also a method. However, these cultivators do not want to devour the blood of living beings recklessly and create great sins, so they will practice by purchasing blood with Mingyuan. This way, the blood obtained will not contain resentment, and the practice is safer and more stable. This is the knowledge explained by the miscellaneous teacher he studied at Huangjiao Town Mansion. He has a deep understanding of his family's financial situation. In recent years, his parents have been cultivating him, so where does he have any extra Mingyuan? Moreover, with my mother's poor health, it is impossible to have 10 Mingyuan at home. Not to mention, my parents suddenly took out 10,000 Mingyuan to purchase the great magic ape technique. Selling blood is the quickest way to obtain Mingyuan. But now it seems that although my father's health is not very good, he is able to hold on without any abnormalities, but my mother is feeling a bit off, as if she has hurt the essence of her body. Mom, do you feel particularly tired? Mu Yun gritted his teeth and bloodshot filled his eyes. With a worried expression, Mu Ling took Lu Xieying's hand and said, "Is there any?" Lu Xieying remained silent for a while, with a smile on her face, and said, "You guys have been scared. My body has always been like this, and it's common for me to feel tired. There's no need to make a big fuss." After speaking, he stood up and tidied up the dishes on the table. Mu Yun looked at his mother quietly and didn't intervene. It wasn't until his mother left the living room that he looked at Mu Ling and asked, "Dad, did you really go to sell blood?" After hesitating for a while, Mu Ling nodded. Mu Yun suddenly felt a sharp blade thrust into his heart, making it particularly difficult for him to breathe. His face turned pale, and beads of sweat dripped down. Why? 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 Parents, why, for me, don't. I don't want to lose my parents. Don't. He roared wildly in his heart, repeatedly questioning himself why he was like this. Is it worth it for parents to do this? Suddenly, he felt a warm hand patting his shoulder. That's all my parents can do for you. You don't have to worry about your mother either. In the next few days, I will go up the mountain to collect more medicine and let your mother replenish it. Can it be made up for? He was haunted by this question in his heart, but he ultimately didn't say it, fearing it would provoke his father. When I have time in a few days, I will also accompany my father to pick herbs, Mu Yun said solemnly. Mu Ling looked at Mu Yun, nodded, and his face was filled with satisfaction. Ladies and gentlemen who love Wu San Chi Si needs your support very much. This is Wu San Chi Si's third book, which was uploaded on the first day today. I really need your help. Please save it. Chapter 5. Foundation Building and Completion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ladies and gentlemen who love Wu San Chi Si, this is Wu San Chi Si's third book. It is a new book and we greatly need everyone's support and love. We hope that after reading this chapter, you can click to save it. Thank you very much. The new book period is very important for Wu San Chi Si. The next day, Mu Yun arrived at the school, Huangjiao Town School, with a heavy heart. Huangjiao Town School is located at the end of East Street in Huangjiao Town, built along the mountain with lush trees. Within the school, there happens to be a small stream passing through it, making it a holy land for learning. At this moment, in the morning, students ranging in age from 6 to 15 or 16 hurriedly entered the campus and rushed towards their classrooms. Have you heard that in the admission assessment for the Shuxian Academy held in Pingchuan City in the past 2 weeks, 50.1 senior brothers and sisters in Huangjiao Town have successfully passed the assessment and entered the Shuxian Academy? Hehe, of course I know. Our neighbor's beautiful senior sister is one of them. You don't know, her parents are so happy that they have been showing off these past few days. My parents grabbed me and asked me to learn from them, but I didn't even play well. It's frustrating, yeah, we still have 3 years left, and I don't know if we can also enter the Immortal Cultivation Academy. Ah. It's difficult, yeah. Difficulty. The teaching level of our Huangjiao Town School is considered to be in the middle and upper reaches among the town schools under Pingchuan City. The entire school has more than 9,000 students, but only 40 to 50 can successfully enter the Cultivation Academy every year. In bad years, there are only more than 10, which is too difficult, that's impossible. Cultivate immortality. Cultivate immortality. It's difficult to ascend to the blue sky. Alright, don't lament here. Your news is outdated, and now the latest news is about our goddess. The young man, who was 13 or 14 years old, caught up with 2 students and looked at them disdainfully, said mysteriously. What? Goddess. Are you talking about teacher Lanxue? What's wrong with her? Suddenly, the 2 of them became nervous. Goddess, that's their goddess in their hearts and cannot be defiled. The robust young man looked around and noticed that everyone was rushing towards the teacher without noticing them. He then whispered, sigh. Our Lanxue teacher has been picked. Puff. What are you saying? The muscular young man looked at 2 fellow practitioners who suddenly transformed from little sheep to big bad wolves, his face trembling, and he lost his voice and said, Our goddess has been picked by Mu Yun. What? What are you saying? Tell me. What's going on? Mu Yun. How could it be? Sha Ping, you and Mu Yansu are at odds. Aren't you talking nonsense? Sha Ping, if you don't explain it clearly today, this matter won't be over. Before the 2 fellow practitioners could speak, more than 10 people gathered around them, and the number was still increasing. Goddess. This is the charm of teacher Lanxue. In Huangjiao Town School, when it comes to charm, there is no female teacher or student who can compare to her. What I said is naturally true. The sturdy young man, also known as Sha Ping, began to reveal the news he had received, and from time to time, angry voices and curses erupted in the crowd, making everyone's anger unforgivable. Damn it! How dare Mu Yun sneak a peek at teacher Lanxue taking a shower? Fuck him. Kill him. This despicable guy. I can never spare him. I want him to taste the power of my flying feet. My iron dragon stick has another opponent. Damn it, we must kill him this time. Okay. Good fight. Why didn't teacher Lanxue kill him? That's right, I deserve it if I die. Ah. He actually stayed at teacher Lanxue's house. 3 days. Teacher Lanxue waited on him for 3 days. Oh, my goodness. What kind of bad luck did this stinky kid have? Nima. I must make this kid look good, why isn't it me who got hurt? Oh, my goodness, my Lanxue teacher. Teacher Lanxue. Her innocence has been ruined by this stinky kid. Oh, my goddess. After a while, nearly 100 people gathered around Shaping, all of whom were teenagers of 13 or 14 years old, full of vitality. Due to their cultivation, they had lost some of their immaturity and gained a lot of passion. They all felt angry at the blasphemy of their goddess in their hearts, their eyes turned red, and they wished to tear Mu Yun apart immediately. Where is Mu Yun? In the crowd, I don't know who shouted, but for a moment everyone started shouting. Who saw Mu Yun? Quickly pull this guy out. Everyone is like hungry wolves, and Mu Yun is the food they are looking for. The wolf's scent emanates. He seems to have gone to the testing room early in the morning. Let's go. Find him. Let's go. More than 100 young people were filled with righteous indignation, their eyes red, waving their fists, and some even took out their weapons, shouting and rushing towards the testing room. Soon, this scene was seen by other students. After inquiring about the publicity, everyone knew about the desecration of the goddess Lanxue. This team grew stronger and stronger. And just after walking for a short while, a sturdy young man broke away from the crowd and ran towards the classroom. Soon, the sturdy young man rushed into a miscellaneous room. As soon as the boy entered the storage room, he was shrouded in darkness and his eyes couldn't see anything. Shaping, how are you? A faint voice sounded. Pop. With a crisp sound, the miscellaneous room suddenly lit up. The robust young man, who was also Sha Ping's eyes shining brightly, excitedly shouted, Master Wutan is really impressive. Now, a group of people are going to trouble Mu Yun. It seems that the leader of Wutan did not miscalculate. Everyone was beaten like chicken blood, wishing to tear Mu Yun apart. Sha Ping thought about his face and patted Wutan's flattery. Wutan was nearly 2 meters tall, and the sturdy Shaping stood in front of him, still not looking enough. Wutan's face was covered in flesh, and he sneered, isn't this Mu Yun always claiming to be the most hard-working student in the whole school? For this kind of arrogant guy, we just want everyone to see his true nature, strike him hard, and let him know that what our school needs is not hard-working students, but talented, qualified, and capable students. The leader of Yutan is right. Yeah. This is truly worthy of being said by the leader of Wutan. Across from Shaping, Wutan's close allies Jinbei and Tianlai also agreed. Wutan boss, why don't we also go see this great play? Sha Ping's eyes flickered, rubbing his hands. Yeah, boss, we also want to see Mu Yun's miserable situation. Yes. Yutan's face was squeezed together, his eyes narrowed into a slit and he smiled, let's go. Let's go see what the most hardworking student in the whole school would look like when he sees himself as a street mouse. Just thinking about it makes me look forward to it. Early in the morning, Mu Yun hurriedly arrived at the school's testing room. The testing room is located next to the wide martial arts arena of the school, near the back mountain, with stunning scenery. "Hello, Teacher Feng Ling." Mu Yun opened the door to the testing room. The room was not large, measuring 5 zhang in length and 5 zhang in width. Looking around, a frail old man leaned against a recliner with his eyes squinted. The old man opened his cloudy eyes and glanced at Mu Yun, frowning and saying, "Why are you here this morning without training? I want to see to what extent my strength has grown." "Humph. It's impossible to cultivate without calming down," the old man scolded. "Teacher Feng Ling is right, but I feel like I have made significant progress recently, so I want to give it a try." Mu Yun said calmly. Teacher Feng Ling has a strange temper, but he is very kind. Although it seemed like he was scolding him earlier, it was actually for his good, so he didn't care at all. Go." The old man closed his eyes again. Taking a deep breath, he walked past Teacher Feng Ling and saw stones the size of a human head placed in the testing room. These stones were the same size, but had different appearances, varying in depth and shallowness. However, on the surface of Yen Sei, numbers such as 100, 500, 1000, 3000, and so on are marked. These numbers represent the actual weight of the stone. Mu Yun stood in front of a dark stone weighing 900 pounds and began adjusting his state and breathing. Just as Mu Yun was adjusting himself, the old man behind him narrowed his eyes into a slit, constantly scrutinizing Mu Yun. Mu Yun is also a well-known figure at Huangjiao Town School, with excellent theoretical courses in various aspects of cultivation. It can be said that he is the first person in theoretical courses, and his heart is also very good. He is deeply loved by the school teachers. However, the only downside is that his basic aptitude is relatively ordinary. After studying in Huangjiao Town for 8 years, he still cannot successfully build a foundation. Now he has only achieved a small success in building a foundation, with only 600 to 700 pounds of physical strength. This kind of strength is simply not ranked in the Huangjiao Town School. Like other teachers, he also really likes this little guy who dares to risk his life in practice. However, his basic aptitude is really poor, otherwise he would really want to recommend him to enter the Cultivation Academy in Pingchuan City. Bang! Just as he was lost in thought, Mu Yun moved and his right foot crossed to the right. He crouched down, holding his breath and holding his breath. His hands were like iron locks, tightly grasping the dark stone. "Get up!" With a loud shout, the black stone was lifted up by him. Success! 900 pounds. After persisting for 3 seconds, Mu Yun gently lowered the stone and let out a long breath of turbid air, but his heart was filled with excitement. Success! In the past few days of cultivation, his strength has increased by at least 200 pounds. 900 pounds. Feng Ling looked at the number displayed on the mirror in surprise and nodded in satisfaction. The little guy is good, his strength has reached 900 pounds. Keep working hard and strive to reach 1,000 pounds early, building a great foundation. Mu Yun woke up with a joyful smile on his face and said, "Thank you, Teacher Feng Ling. However, I still want to try that 1,000-pound stone." "Oh. Are you sure?" Teacher Feng Ling frowned, and Mu Yun's strength increased. He was genuinely happy, afraid that the young man's strength would be dampened. "I remember your last strength test was half a month before the holiday, and now it's only a month since then that your strength has increased by 200 pounds, which is really good. There's no need to put too much pressure on yourself. You should understand the principle that life is easy to break." Mu Yun nodded respectfully and bowed to Teacher Feng Ling. "Teacher Feng Ling, I really want to give it a try." "Well. Then be careful, it's okay if you can't lift it." Mu Yun took a step to the left and stood in front of the bright red stones. Among these stones, there were 4 bright red stones, namely 500, 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000, corresponding to the 4 levels of foundation completion, foundation completion, foundation completion, and foundation completion. Now, he stands in front of the red stone used to test whether the foundation has been successfully built, with the smooth surface of the stone engraved with 1,000 pounds. After a slight movement of the body, I took a deep breath, bent down and squatted down, grabbed the stone, and quickly aligned with my waist, which was also the most critical moment. If he can lift more than his waist with one go, then he has a 90% chance of lifting 1,000 pounds of stone. When he is at the waist, his movements are noticeably sluggish. The old man's eyes narrowed suddenly, sighed to himself, and shook his head slightly. He had already made a judgment that Mu Yun could not lift this 1,000-pound heavy stone. Ah! Get up! Suddenly, a roar sounded in the testing room, and then the old man saw a shocking scene that shocked him. The stone stuck at Mu Yun's waist suddenly crossed his waist and appeared above his head. The stone was lifted up. Mu Yun, it's successful. After a brief moment of shock, the old man nodded and smiled happily. Congratulations, little one. The foundation has been built successfully. Judging from the pause you just lifted at your waist, it seems that your strength has already reached 1,100 pounds. Not bad, very good. Carefully putting down the red stone, Mu Yun's face turned red and he nodded excitedly at the old man to thank him. Judging from your previous actions, did you practice the Great Demon Ape technique? Hehe, teacher has good eyesight. Not bad, since you have practiced the Great Demon Ape technique, then work hard. You still have 2 years left. There is still great hope. Thank you very much, teacher. Feng Ling smiled and said, your current strength has reached 1,100 pounds, which can be considered one of the top 500 in school. However, with your proficiency in bull fist and 3-step entanglement, your strength is enough to rank in the top 300 in school. With this cultivation speed, even if your strength cannot reach 3,000 pounds in 2 years, as long as you can reach nearly 2,000 pounds, you can still find a good job when you go out. Mu Yun's heart warmed as he understood that teacher Feng Ling was comforting him, but where could he be content? He wants to build a successful foundation and enter the Immortal Cultivation Academy, which is both his dream and that of his parents. However, facing such a teacher who was considerate of him, he naturally wouldn't argue back and respectfully bowed to teacher Feng Ling. Teacher, I'm going back to the classroom first. Well, go ahead, cultivate with heart, believe in yourself. Chapter 6, Men's Public Enemies, Second Watch, Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mu Yun thanked teacher Feng Ling and walked out. His mood was very good. After practicing the Great Power Demon Ape technique, he had a feeling that his strength had reached 1,000 pounds. But it feels like it's one thing, and after the real proof, it's another thing. In just 3 days of practicing the Great Demon Ape technique, his strength increased by nearly 400 pounds, which was unbelievable to him. However, he did not delve into it, attributing it all to his years of accumulation. The accumulation was powerful, and now it has exploded, naturally progressing rapidly. But in the future, we will have to work even harder. Mu Yun walked lightly on the martial arts arena with a smile on his face. Suddenly, he saw a group of popular people rushing towards him and looked at more than 300 people in surprise. Most of these people he knew were of the same age, and some were also fellow practitioners in the same class. What happened? The question swirled in Mu Yun's mind, but soon he understood that this group of people was coming towards him. Look, Mu Yun is over there. Mu Yun, stop. Get over here, Mu Yun, you get over here. Get over here. In the blink of an eye, Mu Yun was surrounded, especially with several people in front of the team glaring at him and shouting loudly. Mu Yun frowned, feeling inexplicable. The team of over 300 people in front of him was actually aimed at him. It was unbelievable. When did he become the school's public enemy? Li Erniu, if you have something to talk about, don't keep your mouth clean. When did I offend you, Mu Yun? Mu Yun looked coldly at Li Erniu. Li Erniu is a tall and burly young man, standing at 2.2 meters tall, with bulging muscles and explosive strength. He is the leader of the younger generation of Huangjiao Town School and also the main force for the entrance examination of Pingchuan City Shuxin College next year. He is approaching the completion of the foundation construction. Li Erniu's face turned red and his eyes were blazing with anger. His goddess in his mind had been desecrated, and holding his breath was much more frustrating than being beaten. Mu Yun. How dare you sneak a peek at teacher Lanxue taking a shower? We're here to argue with you now. Say, do you really have it? Li Erniu widened his eyes and stared at Mu Yun. Yes. We're here to teach you a lesson. Dare to sneak a peek at teacher Lanxue taking a shower, this is seeking death. Everyone go up together, fuck him. With Li Erniu leading the way, everyone's anger was once again aroused. Shut up. Mu Yun suddenly let out a roar. Suddenly, the scene cleared up. At this moment, Mu Yun's face was fierce and his eyes flashed with a hint of sharpness. You guys are really out of control. What is this place? What kind of Rizi is it today? You dare to gather and cause trouble, and the reason for the trouble is still so inexplicable. Do you still treat this place as a school? Mu Yun's aura instantly subdued many people. Although his physical strength was not particularly strong, everyone in school knew that he was a ruthless person who dared to risk his life. A person who can almost lose their life through cultivation, once angry, their momentum can be imagined. Mu Yun, did you actually sneak a peek at teacher Lanxue taking a shower? Li Erniu blushed and shouted, unwilling to be outdone. He was angry in his heart. Just now, he was stunned by Mu Yun's aura. Who is he? He is a character with a strength of over 2,000 pounds and a perfect foundation. He can be ranked in the top 30 in school, but he was scared by a guy with only 700 pounds of strength. Speak up. You must make it clear today, otherwise don't blame me, Li Erniu, for not giving you face. Erniu, what else are you asking? Beat him. An angry voice came from the crowd. Bang. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion in the crowd, and everyone saw Mu Yun stepping on his feet with 3 steps, swiftly approaching a young man with a slightly cold face. This young man was hiding on the right side of Li Erniu, clearly wanting to fish in troubled waters. As soon as he started arguing, Mu Yun recognized this young man. This young man usually gets a bit rough with him and gets closer to Yun. When he thought of Yun, he felt as uncomfortable as eating a fly in his mouth. At this moment, the young man dared to target him. How could he bear it? Take action immediately. Li Erniu's eyes suddenly narrowed, his scalp exploded, and he felt a fierce beast pounce. A glimmer of light appeared in his eyes, and he also swung his fist. If Mu Yun dares to act in front of him, it is provoking his prestige, even if Mu Yun's target is someone else. Just as everyone was overjoyed to see how Mu Yun was knocked down by Li Erniu's fist, he was stunned. Mu Yun moved like a gust of fresh air and easily dodged Li Erniu's fist. Bang! A heavy punch hit the boy's belly, and the schadenfreude on the boy's face suddenly froze and twisted quickly, whether it was anger or pain. However, Mu Yun ignored these things and lifted the young man up with his right hand in a clawed motion, like a chicken carrying a stroller. Whoever dares to move, the young master will kill him. Mu Yun's fierce face and blood-red eyes scanned the foolish young men who were moving, and finally froze on Li Erniu. At this moment, Li Erniu's face turned red, but it was due to shame. He had just been teased by Mu Yun, making his face hot and his heart filled with anger. But he didn't take action, and he was also suppressed by Mu Yun's words. The so-called strong are afraid of being horizontal, while the horizontal are afraid of not being deadly. He is strong, but he is also afraid of Mu Yun, this reckless guy. A guy who doesn't even care about his own life will take the lives of others to heart. Mu Yun, what do you want to do? Do you dare to really kill someone? Li Erniu shouted. Mu Yun walked up with the young man in hand, his face softened a lot, and he looked at Li Erniu with a smile on his face. Senior brother Erniu, I don't know who said I stole a look at teacher Lanxue taking a shower. Humph. Who else is there? That kid Shaping. Oh. So it's him. Mu Yun confirmed his guess, and his anger towards Wutan skyrocketed. Wutan was too dangerous, and framing him to sneak a peek at teacher Lanxue's bath was enough. He also incited the students to target him, making him a public enemy of the school's students. Watching teacher Lanxue take a shower. This kind of thing can be done secretly, but it cannot be said openly. The charm of teacher Lanxue is not to be underestimated, but it is truly popular. Not to mention these unidentified students, it is him. If he is not there, he understands what happened. If someone tells him that someone is watching teacher Lanxue take a shower, he will definitely rush up and cause trouble for that person in the first place. What? Did you admit it? Li Erniu's eyes were filled with anger. Mu Yun, you are so despicable. You even stole a glance at teacher Lanxue taking a shower. Are you still human? How could our Huangjiao town school have such a scumbag like you? And you even threatened us with the lives of our fellow cultivators. You are such a scumbag, shameless and vulgar. A roar erupted from the crowd. Fart. Mu Yun roared, who would you say that again, young master? Who dares to say that? Suddenly, the whole room fell silent. Mu Yun's face was fierce, and his eyes flickered with a devouring light. This posture was truly astonishing, and coupled with his previous performance, he dared not speak up. Teacher Lanxue is the goddess in your mind, isn't she the goddess in my Mu Yun's mind? Mu Yun sneered repeatedly, it's ridiculous that you are so foolish. You were incited by Sha Ping to trouble me. Is I so easy to bully? Mu Yun's eyes were like knives, sweeping past the student in front of him. Humph, Mu Yun, do you dare to do it or not? Li Erniu said angrily, feeling extremely angry. The leader of Huangjiao town's prestigious school was repeatedly intimidated by a little guy who had not yet achieved great success in building a foundation. This made him unable to accept it, and his tone was somewhat angry. Mu Yun glanced at Li Erniu and shouted, then Sha Ping has a grudge against the young master. He splashed dirty water on the young master, and you believe him. The young master now says that Sha Ping is secretly watching teacher Lanxue take a shower. Do you believe it? Seeing everyone speechless, Mu Yun continued to shout, if you believe what Sha Ping said, don't you believe what I Mu Yun said? Who am I, senior brother Erniu? Senior brother Shifeng, don't you know? And fellow cultivators who have some friendship with me Mu Yun, think about it. Ha! Yeah, that's right. Sha Ping and Mu Yun are at odds, and they often have conflicts. Is it really Sha Ping talking nonsense? Well, it's possible. Did we really misunderstand Mu Yun? It seems that Mu Yun, a cultivation maniac, is not the kind of person who sneaks a peek at teacher Lanxue's bath. The crowd was full of discussions, and everyone was scolded by Mu Yun. The restless heart gradually calmed down, and upon careful consideration, it was really impossible. Of course, part of this is because Mu Yun's image in front of everyone has always been quite upright, while the other part is that everyone is unwilling to admit that their goddess has been desecrated. The human heart is so wonderful. With opposition, Mu Yun breathed a sigh of relief and then said, Senior brothers and sisters, since Sha Ping accused me of sneaking a peek at teacher Mu Yun's bath and slandering me, I can't just be splashed with dirty water by him, can I? So, how about everyone accompany me to see Sha Ping? Let's face each other and see what he has to say. Mu Yun's statement even more restrained everyone. Everyone looked at each other in disgust, and soon a resolution was formed, allowing Mu Yun and Shaping to confront each other face to face. Don't worry, brother Mu Yun. If Sha Ping really slanders you, we will definitely not let him go. While he slanders you, he is also slandering teacher Lanxue. Li Erniu pinched his finger joints, making a clicking sound and grinning profusely. Watching the team following Mu Yun's departure, teacher Feng Ling, who had been hiding at the entrance of the testing room, had a dazzling expression in his eyes. Mu Yun's performance just now really surprised him, but soon he shook his head slightly and said, "Unfortunately, it's a good seedling, just a bone." Yuten, Shaping, and others who had been hiding in the dark all along, saw that Mu Yun had actually suppressed these students, and immediately felt tricky, especially Shaping. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with fear. Yuten boss, you have to make decisions for me. Tianlai and Jinbei's eyes flickered with schadenfreude on the side. Yuten's face, covered in flesh, trembled and pondered for a while before saying with hatred, "Jinbei, hurry up and tell teacher Lanxue what happened here." "Okay." Jinbei replied and hurriedly left. "Wutan boss, what should we do? Why don't I go and hide?" The sturdy Shaping was like an injured bird at this moment, with a trembling voice. "Humph. If you dare to hide, then you won't be able to step into school for half a step in your life. Even this Huangjiao town doesn't have any place for you." Wutan exclaimed, hating the iron for not turning into steel. Sha Ping suddenly woke up and exclaimed to himself, if he really hides, there's no need for Mu Yun to say anything. Everyone will think he's really slandering Mu Yun. That's truly terrible. So what should we do? Why didn't we leave any footage back then? Now there's no basis for words. Wutan remained silent for a long time before suddenly looking up and saying, "Let's go see teacher Qin Luo." Ladies and gentlemen, this is Wu San Chi Si's new work. The next day after uploading, we really need everyone's support. If you think this book is still good, please bookmark and support it. Chapter 7, Teacher Lanxue's Maintenance, Third Watch, Collection Request. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early in the morning, a surprising event happened at Huangjiao Town School. A team of more than 300 people marched through the school in a grand manner, but before class had even begun, it caused many students to stop and watch, and discussions began. Soon, everyone understood the cause of the incident. TSK, this Mu Yun is really amazing. He immediately became the focus of attention in the school. Yeah. Senior Mu Yun is truly a fanatic in cultivation. It's not so frustrating to cultivate, even chasing girls has such a talent, only chasing teachers. We need to learn from Senior Mu Yun. Humph. These guys are really boring. No matter how good teacher Lanxue looks, she's just an ice cube. How can she compare to this bold and unrestrained young lady? Bored boys just have no vision. A group of guys without eyes. Damn it, why do these guys only see teacher Lanxue in their eyes? Is Gun and I worse than teacher Lanxue? I really envy teacher Lanxue. I also want to become everyone's dream lover like teacher Lanxue. The male students were inexplicably moved and envied Mu Yun, wishing to turn themselves into Mu Yun and enjoy the attention of thousands of people. The female students were filled with anger, while the male students in the school only had teacher Lanxue in their hearts. Where were these little lollies? This made them extremely unhappy, and they cursed these male students to death in their hearts, filled with jealousy and hatred towards teacher Lanxue. Along the way, Mu Yun listened to the emotions and discussions of the male and female students, and gained a clear understanding of the charm of teacher Lanxue in his heart. In Huangjiao Town, one must not offend teacher Lanxue. Where is offending someone? This is simply offending a school. What are you doing? An angry roar suddenly sounded, causing the earth to tremble. Mu Yun's eyelids trembled. This was the voice of the great principal of Huangjiao Town School. Indeed, among the group of people rushing towards us, the leader was the principal of Huangjiao Town School, Principal Song Yan. Principal Song Yen is a muscular middle-aged man with dark skin and exposed arm muscles resembling dragons, full of violent beauty. However, at this moment, Principal Song Yan's face is heavy, even somewhat ferocious. Coupled with his bare arms, the pressure is pressing on him. Do you want to rebel? With a roar, the crowd of over 300 people immediately became noisy. A few timid students, pale-faced, suddenly ran away, without even bothering to speak up for the culprit who desecrated their goddess in their hearts. Break up immediately. With another reprimand, Principal Song Yan's authority was fully demonstrated. As soon as he stepped forward, he only said 3 words, but it was under the power of these 3 words that the team of over 300 people immediately decreased by 70%, and more than 20 people were not afraid of him. Principal Song Yen narrowed his eyes into a slit, with an uncertain smile on his face, scanning over the 20 people one by one. As his gaze swept over Mu Yun's body, he suddenly felt that he had been pinned down by a savage beast, and his scalp couldn't help but tingle. Don't you guys disperse yet? Principal, we don't have much to do, we just want to find the 8th level student Sha Ping, said Li Erniu. Principal Song Yen stared coldly at Li Erniu and said, you don't need more than 300 people to find people together. Tell me, what's going on? It's like this. Li Erniu recounted the incident under the cannibalistic gaze of Principal Song Yen. After listening to Li Erniu's words, Principal Song Yen turned his head to look at Mu Yun. Mu Yun, is what Sha Ping said true? Defamation, this is slander. Mu Yun pretended to be angry and shouted. Principal Song Yen nodded and muttered a few words to the vice principal beside him, then looked at Li Erniu and others and said, what exactly is going on? Our school's senior management will handle it on their own. You quickly disband and return to your own classroom. Did you hear that? Li Erniu, are you itching? Upon being scolded by Principal Song Yen, Li Erniu glared at Mu Yun with hatred and dared not stop. Mu Yun, you stay and come with me to the principal's office. Oh. Mu Yun followed behind Principal Song Yen with a low eyebrow and pleasing eyes, not to mention how gentle he was. This was the solution that Mu Yun came up with after a long time of contact with Principal Song Yen. In front of this powerful principal, do not pretend to be very strong. That is a fatal thing. It would be light to take action to repair you, huh? Teacher Lanxue. As soon as he entered the principal's office, he saw Teacher Lanxue sitting upright. Next to him was the vice principal who had just left. The vice principal whispered something in Lanxue's ear, but Mu Yun was very dissatisfied with the vice principal's action. Appearing somewhat affectionate. Does this bald guy also want to have an idea with Teacher Lanxue? Principal Su, where is Shaping? Principal Song Yen asked as he looked at the mottled vice principal above his head. I'm looking, I should be over soon. Principal Song Yen nodded, Teacher Lanxue, these 2 little guys almost caused trouble today. If more than 300 students take action, it's not just for fun. Teacher Lanxue still looked cold and aloof. It seems that Lanxue's behavior has long been taken for granted, and Principal Song Yen did not feel dissatisfied. He sat in his seat and looked at Mu Yun, asking, Mu Yun, Sha Ping hasn't come yet. Can you tell me the whole story? Yes. Mu Yun said respectfully. What else are you talking about? He's just a rascal, a black sheep. An angry voice came from outside the room, and Mu Yun frowned. The voice was familiar. Squeak. The door was opened, and a young man with a dignified demeanor and a heavy face walked in. Behind him was also a handsome young man, dressed in a white robe with a graceful demeanor. Hello, Teacher Lance, Teacher Qin Luo. Mu Yun bowed respectfully to the 2 of them. Respecting teachers and valuing the Tao is a virtue. Mu Yun, I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. You really know the face but not the heart. The young man with a heavy face stared angrily at Mu Yun. Lance, don't get excited. Maybe someone is stirring up trouble. Besides, Mu Yun is a little guy. What does he know? Qin Luo, a young man in a white robe, comforted. However, Mu Yun's heart sank. Teacher Qin Luo didn't have a good heart. He said he was trying to comfort Teacher Lanxue, but in fact, he was secretly stirring up trouble. Sure enough, after listening to Teacher Qin Luo's words, Teacher Lance's face became increasingly heavy, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent, wishing to tear Mu Yun apart. Enough! Principal Song Yen roared angrily, pointing at Teacher Lance's nose and cursing, "What do you look like? Do you still have any teacher-like appearance? Even if Mu Yun is not right, he is still your student. Did you say that about your own student?" All right. Principal Song Yen waved his hand and said, "Where's Shaping?" "It's outside." Teacher Qin Luo smiled, "Sha Ping, come in." The sturdy sand flat say walked in pale, his mouth turning blue. Mu Yun narrowed his eyes and stared at Sha Ping with a smile on his face. "Sha Ping, what is the deep hatred between Mu Yun and you? How could you slander me so much?" I don't have it." Sha Ping said. "Sha Ping, what's going on? Tell me." Principal Song Yen glared at Mu Yun. Shaping hesitated for a moment and began to talk about what he saw that night. "Oh." Principal Song Yen frowned and looked at Teacher Lanxue, asking, "Teacher Lanxue, is what he said true? Mu Yun was peeking at you?" "No," said Teacher Lanxue. "Teacher Lanxue, I saw it with my own eyes." Sha Ping said urgently, his expression particularly anxious, as if he was shocked and angry at Teacher Lanxue's denial of his words. "Fart!" Mu Yun suddenly burst out. "Sha Ping, did you say you saw clearly that I was peeking at Teacher Lanxue taking a shower?" "That's it. It's you." Mu Yun chuckled and said, "May I ask where you were at that time?" I'm outside the Lanxue Teachers Academy," Sha Pinglu sneered. "Oh. Was the gate of Teacher Lanxue's house closed or open at that time?" Mu Yun smiled faintly. "This is naturally locked." "Haha. Sha Ping, you really know how to lie. Since the gate of Teacher Lanxue's house is closed, how do you see the situation inside the small courtyard clearly? If you really see it clearly, it means you're not outside the courtyard, but inside the small courtyard, right? No, it's not like this." Sha Ping's face suddenly turned pale, and he never expected Mu Yun to be trying to trick him. "Oh. Sister Mu Yun, according to what you said, you were indeed at Teacher Lanxue's house at that time." Teacher Qin Luo stared at Mu Yun with a smile. Mu Yun nodded and said, "I am neighbors to Teacher Lanxue. When I heard a commotion in her courtyard, I looked at the wall and found someone lurking inside her house. I was afraid that there might be something wrong with Teacher Lanxue. Unexpectedly, the thief escaped, but I was beaten up by Teacher Lanxue. So it's like this." Teacher Qin Luo nodded, but a hint of unease flashed in his eyes. Teacher Lance's face softened a lot and he said, "You did a good job, but you were a bit reckless." "Yes." Mu Yun quickly lowered his head to admit his mistake. Teacher Rank was his miscellaneous teacher and usually treated him very well. He also knew that Teacher Rank liked Teacher Lanxue very much and secretly pursued her, so he was very nervous about Teacher Lanxue. It was only right to be dissatisfied with him. "Teacher Lanxue, is what Mu Yun said true?" Principal Song Yen asked in person. Suddenly, everyone's gaze converged on Teacher Lanxue, who was petite and delicate but exuded a cold and indifferent aura. Mu Yun's heart was pounding wildly. Although what he said was true, he did not mention seeing Lanxue's snow-white and enchanting body in Twin Peaks. Lanxue was still angry about this matter. "Well, it's true, otherwise I wouldn't have saved him." After a moment of silence, Teacher Lanxue finally spoke up. At this moment, his back was soaked through, and it was only after Lanshue's words fell that he breathed a sigh of relief. 10,000 words updated. Everyone who has read this book, sisters and brothers, if you think this book is very suitable for your taste, please collect it for support and really need your support and help. Chapter 8, Teacher Qin Luo, First Watch, Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. But what he didn't know was that from beginning to end, Qin Luo was observing him, and seeing the change in his expression, Qin Luo's eyes flashed with a hint of strangeness. Well, Teacher Lanxue needs to be careful in the future. Principal Song Yan instructed Teacher Lanxue a few words before turning his gaze to Shaping. Sha Ping, according to Mu Yun's speculation, you should have been in the courtyard at the time. Why did you appear in the courtyard? And surprisingly, you didn't help Mu Yun and Lanxue teachers deal with the worthless ranger. Humph, how could there be such a timid student like you in our school? Principal Song Yan's face was ugly and he wished he could tear Sha Ping apart. The principal should not be angry. After all, there is no bottom line for a worthless ranger to do things, and it is only natural for Sha Ping to be afraid. Teacher Qin Luo comforted. Humph. I get annoyed when I see you. Get out of here and I'll punish you for cleaning the school restroom for a month. If you dare to slack off or don't clean thoroughly, let's see how the principal cleans you up. Sha Ping carried his face and carefully restrained his anger, not daring to have any objections. He. Mu Yun, it seems that Teacher Lanxue is very protective of you. As soon as she walked out of the principal's office, Sha Ping's pale face changed and her face turned red. She gave Mu Yun a teasing glance and left alone. Mu Yun, don't mess around in the future. Teacher Lance patted his shoulder and hurriedly left. Mu Yun, you have done a great job. In order to promote your spirit of martial arts, the teacher has decided to reward you. After school in the afternoon, when you come to the back mountain, the teacher will teach you a set of boxing techniques. It is much stronger than the bull fist, Qin Luo said with a smile. Qin Luo is a martial arts teacher at Huangjiao Town School. Due to her handsome appearance and proficiency in martial arts, she is deeply loved by students, especially female students who are not fond of martial arts. In order to see Qin Luo's style, she chooses to take Qin Luo's courses. Thank you very much, Teacher Qin Luo. Mu Yun wanted to refuse very much in his heart, but when he spoke, his words changed and he couldn't help but be hooked by Qin Luo's boxing skills. Humph. Take back the clothes you left at my house at night. A cold voice came to my ears, and then I saw the enchanting figure of Teacher Lanxue slowly disappear. Walking back to the classroom, Mu Yun's heart was filled with doubts. Teacher Qin Luo wants to teach me martial arts. I heard from fellow practitioners that Teacher Qin Luo likes to teach female students martial arts in private the most, but I have never heard of him teaching male students martial arts in private. Even his favorite students have not received such treatment. Both Teacher Qin Luo and Teacher Rank are pursuing Teacher Lanxue, which is no longer a secret in school. Is it true that Teacher Qin Luo is thanking me because I am afraid of something wrong with Teacher Lanxue and stepped forward? This is a good thing. Entering the teaching building, there is a large mirror hanging in the left hall. Mu Yun came to the mirror to tidy up his clothes. This mirror is called the plastic surgery mirror, which has been passed down from the army of the Ming dynasty. The students in the school love to tidy up their clothes here. Suddenly, Mu Yun's face underwent a great transformation. How could this be? Why is the qi above my head slowly dissipating? And there is black air swirling around it. Mu Yun widened his eyes and said, "Am I sick?" "No, I haven't felt any discomfort." "Why on earth is this?" Filled with doubts and anxiety, Mu Yun returned to the classroom and received countless curious gazes. Mu Yun is an 8th-level student of Huangjiao Town Government School. There are 10 classes of 8th-level students, each class has about 100 students. At this moment, nearly 100 students, including men and women, are staring at Mu Yun with wide eyes, hoping to see what kind of difference he is from him. Faced with all of this, Mu Yun walked calmly to his position and flipped through the thick books on the table. Ignoring them, he was immersed in his own thoughts. Quickly, a thin and frail female teacher walked in. This morning's course schedule was herbal medicine, which is also a popular course among students. After all, not every student has the ability to build a solid foundation at the age of 16 and is qualified to enter the Cultivation Academy. Among these nearly 100 students, having 2 or 3 students enter the Immortal Cultivation Academy is already quite impressive. And the remaining 90 or so students can only leave school and start their own work in life after reaching the age of 16. Some students have some connections at home, so they will be sent to major stores to learn some crafts and rely on their skills to make a living. However, students without connections can only find their own way out, collecting herbs to sell, which is one of the livelihood paths for many students after graduation. So, learning more about herbal medicine at this time is very beneficial for finding a job in the future. Now let's start the class. Last time we talked about Bai Luo Feng Chao. The thin and weak herbal medicine teacher on the podium spoke calmly and began her explanation. While listening to the teacher's explanation, he was pondering the situation of the clear air above his head. This does not mean that he was not attentive in class, but rather that he was clear about all the things explained by the teacher, and could even be more brilliant than what the teacher said. There is no other reason. His father is a herb picker, and he is also an experienced herb picker. When he was young, Mu Yun was instilled with a lot of knowledge about herbs by his father, and he often accompanied him up the mountain to pick herbs, which also gave him rich experience. One more thing, the feeling that made him palpitate did not disappear, and it always lingered in his heart, lingering. Let's see if any of my fellow cultivators' chi luck is similar to mine. After secretly activating his powers, he focused his gaze on his desk mate, who was a chubby little man. At this moment, the chubby little man was turning his gaze to Zhuzi, carefully stuffing snacks into his mouth while guarding the teacher. Here you go. Feeling that Mu Yun was looking at him, the chubby little man grinned and carefully pushed his snacks over to share with Mu Yun. Feishi, if you eat it again, you'll really become a pig. Mu Yun shook his head and refused the little fat man's kindness, but in just a moment, he had already seen the little fat man's fortune clearly. A layer of white-seeking chi swirled above the little chubby man's head, which was much richer than his father's. This left him puzzled. Where exactly is the mystery of chi luck? Thinking about this issue in his heart, his gaze turned towards a fellow practitioner. An hour later, he observed the chi luck of nearly 100 fellow practitioners, and his eyes sparkled with joy, reaping a great harvest. Originally, they were powerful fellow cultivators with generally strong chi luck. Yes, those with strong strength have good natural talents themselves, and talents should also be a part of their chi luck. Ha! Xiaodong's white and clean air is surrounded by gray air. Judging from his sickly appearance, does it mean that he is feeling unwell and affecting his chi? Well, it's very likely that Su Fengmei has been sick for a month now, and the gray air on her head is even stronger than Xiaodong's. This also proves that physical discomfort can affect her luck. No wonder people who are sick say they are unlucky. So what about me? There's black air above my head. What does black air represent? Carefully analyzing the phenomena he saw and drawing conclusions, these conclusions can be verified by his subsequent use of divine powers and become the basis. Mu Yun, could you introduce the unique characteristics of Huoluoming flower? Suddenly, a voice with a hint of anger came, and he woke up in awe. Yes, Teacher Zhua. Huoluoming flowers are joyful. Mu Yun quickly stood up and bowed to the thin and weak teacher on the podium, beginning to explain the special characteristics of Huoluoming flowers. He talked confidently, even his fellow practitioners listened with great interest. Well, not bad, but that's not a reason for you to take a break in class. The thin and weak teacher's face softened a bit, and he glanced faintly at Mu Yun. Mu Yun quickly pleaded guilty. After a long sigh of relief, Mu Yun secretly used his supernatural powers to observe the thin and weak teacher's luck, and was immediately surprised. The clear energy above the thin and weak teacher's head actually condensed into 2 layers of iron towers, and the appearance of the iron towers presented a strong orange color, which was different from the white and pure energy observed by his fellow practitioners. Why is the clear air above the desk teacher's head like an orange SE double-layered tower? What does the orange SE represent? What does the double-layered tower represent? It seems that the clear air above teacher Lanxue's head is yellow. The clear air has condensed into a spire. As his mind flashed, his eyes suddenly lit up and he said, I can deeply feel that teacher Table's luck is much stronger than that of teacher Lanxue. That means the luck of the orange SE double-layer tower is stronger than that of the yellow SE one-layer tower. After a long time, Mu Yun stopped pondering and shook his head slightly. It seems that the observed phenomena are still too few, and more observation is needed. Time passed rapidly as he pondered, and soon the whole morning came to an end. After going home for lunch, we resumed our afternoon classes. The afternoon class is scheduled for swordsmanship. When their class arrived at the martial arts arena, there were already 7,000 to 8,000 people gathered. The curriculum of Huangjiao Town School usually consists of theoretical classes in the morning and practice classes in the afternoon, combining theory with practice. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Mu Yun utilized his ability to observe the qi of the students. He didn't stop until he was exhausted and felt dizzy, but his heart was unusually excited. He finally figured out the issue of qi luck reflected by the appearance and shape of qingqi. The qingqi yen sei actually reflects the cultivation level of the cultivator. During observation, he found that the qingqi on the top of the head of the students in the foundation building environment is presented as white se, while the teachers have several types of qingqi yen sei on their heads, the most being orange se, a few being red se, and the least being yellow se, with only a few of them. The qingqi corresponding to the Jianji realm is white se, the Ningmai realm corresponds to red se, and the Xianfu realm corresponds to orange se. Therefore, the master realm corresponds to yellow se. He was thrilled to come to this conclusion. The shape of qingqi reflects the strength of the cultivator's qi luck. The intensity of qi luck is influenced by many factors, including cultivation and physical health. As for whether there are other factors, he has not yet figured them out. However, this has already made him very excited. Lanxue is actually a master, tsk. It seems that Lanxue has never mentioned her realm before. Also, it turns out that the most powerful teacher in the school is not the principal, but actually Fengling. Through observing the qi flow, he also saw things he had never noticed before. The swordsmanship course ended in a joyful atmosphere, and Mu Yun carefully wiped the long sword he used clean and returned it to the teacher. After thanking the teacher, he walked towards the back mountain. Teacher Qin Luo wanted to teach him a new boxing technique, which really made him itch. So as soon as school was over, he walked towards the back mountain. Passing through the martial arts arena and a small stream, one arrived at the foot of the mountain, where a winding path led to the top. Mu Yun stood at the foot of the mountain waiting for teacher Qin Luo. In no time, the tall and handsome figure of teacher Qin Luo appeared in the distance and walked towards him. Hello, teacher Qin Luo. Mu Yun Tong has been waiting for a long time to fix it. I just arrived too. Ho ho, let's go up the mountain. The teacher knows that there is a very good place on the mountain. The air is fresh, and the vitality of the world should be stronger. Go there to practice boxing and get twice the result with half the effort. Teacher Qin Luo has a warm smile on his face. Mu Yun followed teacher Qin Luo up the mountain along a small path paved with stone slabs. Ha! The clear qi above teacher Qin Luo's head is orange, which is solid. It seems that teacher Qin Luo is a cultivator in the immortal mansion realm, and his qi luck is quite good. Using the power of observing qi, Mu Yun saw through teacher Qin Luo's cultivation. Why do I feel like the clear air above Teacher Qin Luo's head is like a ferocious beast, trying to tear me apart? Mu Yun's face suddenly changed. Is this the manifestation of the power of observing qi? Mu Yun's heart twitched as he thought about what happened today. He suddenly realized that the feeling that made him tremble was that Teacher Qin Luo had promised to teach him martial arts privately, and only after he agreed. Does it mean that Teacher Qin Luo is going to be unfavorable to me? Mu Yun's face was uncertain. As soon as this idea formed in his mind, it couldn't be dispelled. The more he thought about it, the more he felt it was true. At this moment, he found that the sky had turned black, and he followed Teacher Qin Luo to the depths of the back mountain. Dear readers who love this book, please bookmark and support us. Thank you very much. Chapter 9, Revealing the Fierce. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Teacher Qin Luo suddenly stopped, with his back to Mu Yun. Coupled with the pitch-black night, Teacher Qin Luo was like a fierce beast, ready to pounce and tear him apart at any moment. Mu Yun's heart tightened. Teacher Qin Luo. He called out, but Teacher Qin Luo ignored him, which made him feel very oppressed. Is Teacher Qin Luo really going to be detrimental to me? No way. This is a school. Even though it's the back mountain, it belongs to the school area. Being in the school is not good for me, not for him at all. If the town officials find out, even the heavenly King Laozi will have a lot of trouble. Mu Yun breathed a sigh of relief. The Ming dynasty was a legal dynasty with very strict laws. If anyone dared to violate them, they would face very severe punishment. As a major force in the Ming dynasty, Tianxian was also very strict in controlling the laws. The miscellaneous teacher once said that the laws of Tianxian are strict, precisely to distinguish between Tianxian disciples and non-Tianxian disciples. As a Tianxian disciple, his basic right to survival will be greatly protected, and no one dares to violate it. Once violated, Jianchuan's criminal law will be added, even those big family children cannot bear it. It is precisely because of this that Jianchuan's disciples are willing to give for Tianxian. This is the cornerstone for Tianxian to consolidate and strengthen himself, and no one can trample on it. I grew up in Huangjiao town and my parents were both peripheral disciples of Tianxian. There were a large number of peripheral disciples who provided various living materials for Tianxian. Tianxian guaranteed their basic living rights and provided their children with the necessary cultivation education. I heard from my parents that they also came to Huangjiao town after I was born, and became disciples on the outskirts of Tianxian, with the aim of providing me with a formal cultivation education. After a long sigh of relief, Mu Yun's heart had already relaxed. Qin Luo, the teacher, could only scold him at most, but he dared not harm him. Teacher Qin Luo, Oh, I'm sorry, the teacher had a slight realization just now and got distracted. Qin Luo turned around and looked at him apologetically. Teacher has gained enlightenment again. Congratulations to Teacher Qin Luo. How is Teacher Qin Luo's cultivation now? Mu Yun congratulated. It's just the immortal realm, there's still some distance from the master realm. Now you need to work hard. You still have 2 years left, and you must work hard within 2 years to strive for a perfect foundation. At that time, you can enter the Pingchuan Immortal Cultivation Academy, receive real cultivation courses, warm and nourish your meridians, challenge the immortal realm, and become a master. Thank you very much, Teacher Qin Luo. Mu Yun bowed gratefully and said, Teacher Qin Luo, today you are going to teach me martial arts. I wonder what kind of martial arts it is. He, it seems that you are quite anxious. Mu Yun grinned and touched the back of his head, saying, Teacher Qin Luo's boxing is very powerful. If I can learn 1.5 stars from him, it will be enough for me to benefit. Qin Luo looked at Mu Yun with satisfaction, feeling very comfortable flattering him. He couldn't help but nod and said with a reserved tone, First, practice your bull fist and let the teacher see. The teacher will decide what new boxing method to teach you based on your characteristics. Okay. As soon as Mu Yun's eyes lit up, he wanted to practice. Wait, teacher Qin Luo let out a cry, and then, under the puzzled gaze of Mu Yun, he took out a night pearl from his arms. For a moment, a light appeared on the dark mountain, although not as bright as day, it was not much different. Seeing Qin Luo's great attention, Mu Yun was deeply moved and held his breath. He let out a loud shout, his hands clenched into fists, and his martial arts were exceptionally skilled. 15 minutes later, he finally finished his work and quietly looked at teacher Qin Luo. Not bad, very good. This bull fist emphasizes a strong sense of energy. It's also the first time I've been able to reach your level, teacher. Hehe, it's not an exaggeration to be proficient. Qin Luo looked at Mu Yun in surprise. Thank you very much for your praise, teacher. Alright, since you are able to practice the bull fist to this level, it is very difficult. The teacher observed that you have improved your momentum and strength, but with fewer changes. This way, when you engage in combat with others, it is easy for your moves to become outdated, allowing people to find ways to crack them, Qin Luo said solemnly. Then the teacher will teach you Qiankuan palm today. Qiankuan palm. Palm technique. Mu Yun was stunned. Didn't teacher Qin Luo say he wanted to teach him fist techniques? How did he become a palm technique? Seemingly aware of Mu Yun's confusion, teacher Qin Luo smiled and said, fist techniques, palm techniques, and finger techniques all train the coordination between human hands and the body. What you lack now is physical changes, so practicing palm techniques and fist techniques is not much different. The reason why the teacher taught you this, Qiankuan palm, is that there are 90.9 and 80.1 changes in this palm. No change will give rise to double the number of palm shadows. For example, the first change will only have one palm shadow, while the second change will have two palm shadows. So powerful. Mu Yun was excited in his heart. If he had successfully practiced all the 90.9 and 80.1 changes, wouldn't it be all palm shadows in the sky? It is not an exaggeration to say that it is the palm of the universe. Hehe, where is it so easy? Teacher, I have only practiced the 15th change now. However, the biggest advantage of this palm technique is still the change. If you can practice it well, it can increase your body's flexibility by 30%, and perhaps even increase your strength. Can you still increase your strength greatly? Mu Yun was overjoyed. What's strange about this? The mind technique resonates with the natural energy of heaven and earth by adjusting the breathing rate, thus utilizing the natural energy of heaven and earth to exercise the body. You know this, while the technique resonates with the natural energy of heaven and earth through body movements, which can also have the effect of using the natural energy of heaven and earth to exercise the body. Of course, there is also a big type. Mu Yun listened very carefully, and this kind of detailed understanding is not something that ordinary teachers can explain. It is the combination of the two, using the combined action of breathing and body to stimulate the vitality of heaven and earth, forming resonance. For example, the Great Power Demon Ape technique in the beginner's grade is a 1-star mystical cultivation method. The reason why he can enter the grade is because he needs to adjust his breathing and body movements to jointly stimulate the vitality of heaven and earth, so that his cultivation can be fast. I see. Mu Yun suddenly realized. The technique of not entering the grade can only balance one side, either breathing or body movements, while the technique of entering the grade can balance both sides, resulting in better results, Qin Luo said confidently. Thank you, teacher Qin Luo. Mu Yun bowed deeply. Qin Luo's ability to teach him knowledge that ordinary teachers cannot teach is enough to show his appreciation for himself. Alright, it's getting late. The teacher is teaching you Qiankuan palm now. Qin Luo's face became serious as he gazed at Mu Yun and said, you need to listen carefully, remember the key points of breathing adjustment and body movements coordination. Teacher Qin Luo really taught him this palm technique and explained it very carefully. After completing the explanation, he personally practiced it for him. Suddenly, his palms flew all over the sky, as if Qin Luo's hands had turned into a big net that could not be cracked. Do you understand? Qin Luo looked at Mu Yun and asked. Well, I understand. Okay, you can rehearse it once. Later, the teacher will practice with you to help you understand the mystery. Good. Mu Yun took a deep breath, and the figure of teacher Qin Luo swirled in his mind. He let out a loud shout and began to practice. His movements were a bit unfamiliar, but fortunately, he remembered Xing well and had the teacher personally guide him, so he practiced very well. After completing the drill, teacher Qin Luo smiled and said, "Okay, it's very good. The first drill was just a bit hot. It seems that although your qualifications are not very good, your comprehension is excellent. Come on, let me practice with you and let you understand the mystery. Be careful." Teacher Qin Luo suddenly seemed to have transformed into a different person, with a serious face. Suddenly, he made a move and turned his hands into palm shadows, attacking him. Mu Yun leapt forward and welcomed him. Pop pop pop. Teacher Qin Luo slapped like an electric shock, continuously clapping 18 palms in an instant. He tried his best to resist and resolve it, but still had 12 palms slapped on his back. Suddenly, his throat became sweet, and a bloody smell exploded in his mouth. Mu Yun was startled. Teacher Qin Luo didn't leave a hand. Mu Yun, don't be distracted. We are currently practicing against each other. In order to help you master the Qiankuan palm as soon as possible, teacher Qin Luo will not be lenient. After the teacher's palm is completed, if you want the teacher to take action again, the teacher will not take action. Qin Luo shouted. Mu Yun was puzzled and said, "Did you misunderstand the teacher?" In the blink of an eye, he felt that he had misunderstood the teacher. The teacher's ability to teach him palm techniques was already very good, completely compensating for his maintenance of teacher Lanxue. The teacher was also able to waste energy fighting against him and guiding him, which was somewhat cultivating. Okay. Swallowing the fresh blood from his mouth into his stomach, Mu Yun stepped on the 3-step entanglement with his feet, palmed his hands, adjusted his breathing rate and attacked teacher Qin Luo. Pop 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 puff. Just in front of him, he was slapped 18 more times, with his palm right in the center of his heart, causing his mouth to twitch and a mouthful of blood to spurt uncontrollably. Mu Yun, are you still okay? If not, forget it. Teacher Qin Luo stopped and looked at him calmly. Mu Yun wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and at this moment, his heart was already filled with anger. Looking at the faint expression on teacher Qin Luo's face, he secretly activated his qi observation ability. For a moment, he seemed to see the orange Sei Qingqi on teacher Qin Luo's head transform into a ferocious beast, with a murderous aura exposed, about to tear him apart. Revenge oneself in public. These 4 words rang in Mu Yun's heart. He was not a fool. In the 2 face-to-face encounters just now, he got to know each other and was slapped 30 times. He had already suffered a great deal of trauma, and if he hadn't realized at this moment that this was Qin Luo's plan, then he would really be a fool. Teacher Qin Luo, why? Mu Yun shouted. Why? Qin Luo looked at Mu Yun in surprise and asked in confusion, what are you saying? Humph, teacher Qin Luo, you taught me palm techniques. I am very grateful, but the practice just now was not a practice at all. You hit too hard. Hee, Mu Yun, it seems that the teacher was wrong. Every teacher and student in the school said that your cultivation is not deadly, and now it seems that it's just that. You can't even bear such a little injustice. Why talk about cultivating immortality? Qin Luo sneered. Disappointed teacher Qin Luo, this palm technique. Mu Yun doesn't learn anymore. Mu Yun glanced at teacher Qin Luo and turned around before leaving. He had to leave, and he had to quickly leave this place. Leaving Qin Luo, he had already felt that Qin Luo had taken a killing intent. Although he didn't know why, he really felt that the orange scent above Qin Luo's head had turned into a fierce beast, and the killing intent was overflowing. He was ready to fight it. We must escape. As soon as he took a few steps, he used the 3-step entanglement and his speed skyrocketed. Do you want to leave? It's not that easy. Shua, his eyes lit up, and he saw Teacher Qin Luo standing in front of him like a dragon swinging its tail. This was when he used the imported lightness skill, Dragon Walking Step. Teacher Qin Luo, what do you want to do? Mu Yun pretended to be frightened. It seemed that seeing Mu Yun made him feel scared, and Qin Luo also tore off his disguise, revealing his ferocious face. What are you doing? Of course, I want you to understand that Lanxue can't be touched by anyone. She is my scales. Dear readers who love Wu San Chi Si, Wu San Chi Si needs your support. If you think it's good, please bookmark and support.